up? It's your girl, Sasha Banks, the legit boss. You are watching Going In Raw. You like that?
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Tomorrow's Tuesday, Larson. It's Impact Tuesday nights with you, me, and the Enforcer. Bang, the Space Enforcer at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hot off the heels of. They don't do clips. This isn't going to be like a clip show, is it? Is this going to be? You think it's going to be a clip show for Impact?
But I mean, to be perfectly honest, what percentage of the time watching Impact we actually pay attention and actually watch the Impact?
Man, it's like what, 15-20%?
Yeah,
it's just sort of chill with Steve Larson and the Enforcer time.
Yeah, we just talk,
hang out, have some dinner, good stuff. Anyways, join us for that.
You making salmon tomorrow?
I don't know, man. You know, the sky's the limit. World's my oyster. All that kind of stuff. I'll figure it out tomorrow.
Make some beef Wellington. How about that?
Oh no, I'm gonna do some chili. I forgot because I got a box of cornbread stuff, and then I got good. I don't know, like stag chili stuff, and I got some ground beef. So I'm gonna toss it all together, whip it all together.
Your easy pot.
Yeah, maybe I'll put it in the Instant Pot. I don't know.
Instant Pot.
I'll figure it out. Anyways, we're not here to talk about food. We're here talking about Monday Night Raw, including the newest luchador in the WWE family, Randy Orton, who is burned on the face, and he's wearing a mask because is that where it's going to be our lead story? Is there anything bigger coming? I guess Asuka or Alexa Bliss and Asuka. I don't know what's on the thumbnail today.
I don't know. I mean, both those are options, I suppose.
I could do a split screen. I'll do burned Randy Orton. And I'll do Alexa Bliss.
Alexa channels the Fiend.
Well, okay. How about we just step right into this, man? Alexa Bliss officially announced that she's in the Rumble. She gonna win this thing? Is that what's gonna happen now?
I mean, I think in our minds, based on what we saw tonight, she shoots up to the top contender tier. In my mind, it's Bayley, it's Bianca Belair. And now you got to consider Alexa Bliss.
I think so. I think that, with the Fiend always maybe threatening the title picture, but having been burned to a crisp, it kind of makes sense and Alexa's doing really good work with this Fiend stuff. Mm-hmm. It sort of makes sense for her to hop up to the top. They're not doing anything with Asuka. We both love Asuka. Maybe Asuka needs some time away from championship gold in order to reinvigorate creative to come up with some stuff for her to do, because I think they sort of feel, well, she's a dominant in the eyes in the universe in kayfabe. She's a dominant competitor. There aren't any real solid contenders for her, and that's on creative. And so let's build one up with Alexa Bliss. She got a clean win on Asuka tonight, a dominant Fiend-like performance where she would no-sell offense, goes for the mandible claw, drops her with a Sister Abigail after like an aesthetic transformation into what I guess is her sort of version of her own Fiend. Yeah. It's a heavy story. It was the main event. You got to like her, or like you said, Bayley or Bianca Belair. But I kind of feel like Bayley. In my eyes, I see Bayley. Yeah, I could see Bianca as well. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, you can't discount Charlotte either. You
can never discount Charlotte.
While granted, she's in this storyline with her dad and Lacey Evans. But who's to say she can't win the Rumble? This can be her short-term feud leading up to Mania. Her versus Asuka, whether they're still tag champs or not, that's a ready-made story right there. They have history. Asuka, I don't think she's ever beaten Charlotte. At least that was the story for the longest time. And if she can finally overcome Charlotte, really establish herself as undisputed, top of the mountain on Raw, that's a pretty decent story to tell. I don't know if they do it.
Yeah.
But then there's Rhea Ripley involved, assuming she's done in NXT. Maybe they'll go story with her and Charlotte at Mania. Who knows?
So you got the Rumble coming up in less than 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
You got, after that, Elimination Chamber, which will probably determine the number one contender. I mean, that actually, now that I think about it, might seem more likely of a place for the SmackDown number one contender, because you have Bayley, you got Bianca Belair. That seems more like the kind of match where, I mean, I know in the Rumble, you know, Bianca can have a ton of eliminations like last year, and you can impress in the Rumble. But I don't know, given that Elimination Chamber, like we saw last year with Shayna and Asuka, tighter quarters, fewer contestants, more room for personalities to really shine through. Maybe that's the place you do it, Bayley and Bianca, assuming one of the, you know, it's going to be one of them, and I think it's going to be one of them taking on Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. I kind of feel like it's going to be Bayley. I don't think it needs to be a heel versus face, but if you put Bianca in there with Sasha Banks, Sasha could sort of be either one, really.
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, you know, on SmackDown, you do have a couple of other options there. You got Bayley, Bianca for Elimination Chamber, if you want to add some good pieces to that.
Carmella in there too.
You got Carmella, she's pretty strong these days. Natalia's pretty strong these days. Tamina, you know, they always
Riot
do
Squad.
the big monster, the Riot Squad. So you got a pretty strong division there, if they're going to go that way. And then, of course, you've also got Fastlane. You got like 2 other pay-per-views between, and nothing really big is going to happen there. But you never know.
Fastlane's only 3 weeks before Mania, so.
So let's go to the Raw men's title scene. Drew McIntyre, good news for him. His symptoms seem to be non-existent. He said
he was feeling stronger. He was in his home gym, he said, and he said, I feel stronger than last week. He said he's going to be on Raw next week. So
you had to figure things are looking pretty good for him. And
you would hope so. You would hope so. So, of course, he's got the match against Goldberg. I kind of half jokingly texted you based on what we heard on the dirt sheet today about how Miz saying he's leaving the Rumble as champion after defeating both Bill and Drew, that Miz is going to try to cash in like he did at TLC, make it a triple threat. Goldberg's going to spear him, jackhammer him, and get the belt that way, carry it through till Mania. Drew can get the belt back off Goldberg then.
I mean, look, I don't like it. You don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I'd rather see the 2 guys that they have been doing some pretty good character work as of late with. And neither of them we saw tonight, sadly, Sheamus and Keith Lee.
Keith Lee, yeah.
I'd rather see those 2. I mean, dude, I'd even be okay with a Rumble that saw Sheamus and Keith Lee do the Bret Hart Lex Luger thing, where they both hit at the same time. I'd be okay with that and have them going there against Drew McIntyre. I could see, though, Vince maybe not considering that a marquee enough match. That's kind of the problem with WWE these days, is that you can't create new stars without giving them the big marquee moment.
Well, here's the thing too. If they could still do Mania in LA like they initially wanted to, and Roman and The Rock was going to be the main event, then you could do Drew versus Keith Lee versus Sheamus. You got The Rock versus Roman. That's your huge match that's going to put eyeballs on the show. And then for the other title match, if you would do something more character-driven, more, long-term story-based, you could totally do it then.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving pieces. We don't really know how this is going to fall. Nope. But, Miz pretty much blatantly saying he's cashing in at the Royal Rumble, that adds some credence to what you're saying right here. I mean, it's 2021. If they want to squeak 2 matches out of Bill at his contract, Rumble and Mania, those might be the matches. But you got what, 2 or 3 months between them? Well, what, all of February, all of March, and part of April. 2.5 months between the 2 pay-per-views and 2 pay-per-views.
Almost 3 months. Almost 3 months exactly. A week short of 3 months.
Okay.
When he beat Kevin Owens, that was at Fastlane, right? For the Universal title before his match against Brock. Following Mania. He only had the belt for like a month, maybe.
I think it was like a B-level pay-per-view, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Fastlane.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they want to try to do 3 months. I mean, when Brock was champ, that was not unusual for him to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Several months
without
showing up, without defending the title. So
didn't do the B-level pay-per-views. Yeah, that's true. So
then Bob Lashley will have to be top champ on Raw.
Well, yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder, would they then do Bob Lashley or somebody, as you know how they do like Brock proxies?
Yeah.
They have like a Goldberg proxy and like Bob Lashley or something like that. Somebody who Drew can take on. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you take Riddle. Maybe you take the title off Riddle or off Lashley first. And then Lashley gets again, because if Drew has Lashley for a couple months, shouldn't Drew win that title? I don't know. I'm thinking.
But then again, if the U.S. title is going to be your top title because Goldberg has the WWE
Riddle's
title,
not
he's not on
gonna have
TV, they're not going to put the U.S. title on Riddle.
The guy tagging with Lucha House Party's not going to get it.
Whatever happened to the Hardy Bros?
Yeah, I don't know. They had to shuffle the deck for some reason, and then Jeff Hardy landed with Elias and Jackson Ryker
Went back
again.
to the Elias thing. Ugh.
They had the perfect Symphony of Destruction match. That was actually a really damn good match.
That was like the ideal blow off, or as ideal as that feud could actually generate, and then they just kept going on about it. Anyways, let's get into it. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just make this last point. One thing that I do kind of think, it's funny because we're talking about all this stuff, and there is always the caveat that they're not even going to write it until the day before.
Oh,
and when I say it, I mean everything. I mean everything that could possibly happen. They wait
till
the day
WrestleMania
before.
main event. Everything, yeah.
Day before, everything.
Everything.
I do get the feeling that they might have a plan this year. There are pieces in place, and it kind of feels like they're going somewhere, but they're not really telegraphing it.
Here's the thing. It could be a plan, or it could be, we don't know what we're going to do, so let's keep a lot of pots boiling here,
Yeah, it could be.
And then if we know which one we're going to go with, we'll turn that one up and all the other ones off.
Yeah, that could be.
Or turn all the other ones to a low simmer. So if this one that we were going to push to a boil, a heavy boil, isn't working, we can turn that off. The one that's at a low simmer, pop that up, get a heavy boil going there.
That could totally be it. Anyways, yeah, like you said, let's just hop right into it, man. I was on the phone with Xfinity getting my internet figured out. I did see Randy Orton in a burn mask with some makeup that didn't look entirely convincing if we're talking about a man who had, did they say what degree burns?
First degree burns.
Okay. Third is the bad one.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, what did Randall Keith Orton say, Larson?
He said a lot. This is a really long promo.
In a nutshell.
Pretty much, he doesn't blame Alexa for the burns. He blames the Fiend.
Okay, sounds right.
Let me see here. He says, despite this agony, I consider myself lucky. Could have been worse. That's what he says. I blame the Fiend. No doubt he's responsible. Bliss was just the vehicle. He says, I know what the Fiend wants. He wants to stop me from achieving the inevitable, winning the Rumble. They show little video clips of him winning the 2 previous Rumbles. He's won. He says he knows everyone in the locker room enjoyed watching him get burned because he might be out of the Rumble, but you could chop off his limbs. It won't keep him from winning the Rumble. He's staying put. He's going to be in the Rumble. He can compete as long as he tolerates the pain, but he kind of enjoys the pain. It fuels his every move, so everyone can thank the Fiend when he burns everyone's Rumble dreams as he goes on to main event WrestleMania.
So, I mean, that's going to preclude, it's got to preclude him and Edge at Mania, right? Or they're just going to take this Fiend thing all the way to Mania.
I would think so. I would think Randy's going to be in the Rumble. Fiend's going to make his return at the Rumble, lead to his elimination. Like, I don't think Fiend's going to be in the Rumble. I think it's the situation going to pop up, Mandible claw him out the ring, eliminate him. And yeah, I would think they would do maybe a Firefly Funhouse match or something like that at Mania.
I could see a sequence where Randy Orton eliminates it. Like, there's 4 people in, he eliminates everybody. Fiend comes in, he has his moment, tosses Randy out, and then, you're back to square one.
Totally.
All right.
So after that, Ric Flair and Lacey Evans arrive at Thunderdome. Charlie walks up to him for an interview, and she asks, what's the nature of your relationship? Lacey says, what is this, TMZ? It's beneath you to ask. Flair starts to talk. Lacey cuts him off entirely, interrupts him, tells Charlie to have some more respect. He said, but there is a reason why he's the dirtiest player in the game. He was living up to his name last week, and I am simply learning from the greatest.
Okay.
And then we get Charlotte Flair versus Peyton Royce.
So yeah, I saw this one. Were there any stakes to this match in terms of, because I know Peyton earlier had, I think on social media, had declared that she's going to be in the Rumble. Hopefully we'll get an iconic spot with her and
That'd be
Billie
fun.
Kay. That'd be nice.
That'd be fun.
So during this match, of course, Ric Flair and Lacey Evans, wearing one of his robes, comes down to distract Charlotte. But in the end, Charlotte ends up tapping out Peyton Royce with a figure 8.
So here's So they have Ric Flair show up on Raw tonight for a one backstage segment, and for him to walk out to the ramp with Lacey Evans, one of his robes, go to commercial, and they're gone. Why not just have them at ringside still? Lacey, like during her interview, one thing Lacey said is I can't wait to see my tag partner Peyton Royce take on Charlotte.
It's a weird WWE thing. I'm guessing it's not like COVID prevention. I'm guessing it's just a weird they've got the thing now where, and we've all noticed it. I've noted in my notes, they like something big to happen for a commercial cliffhanger. So you do this, but Vince is weird. And so in his mind, what is the one thing that he doesn't care about? Follow through.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about follow through. Doesn't matter if it's a story, nothing. There's never any follow through with anything.
A cliffhanger is only a cliffhanger if there's something that you followed through with after the cliffhanger. Otherwise,
right, yeah.
It's like a non sequitur. You know?
Yeah.
They're like, what's the point of that?
Mm-hmm.
There's no point to it.
It's a detour, really.
Yeah.
Non sequitur is good, though. It's a good term.
Anyways, Charlotte wins.
Yeah.
She puts the figure 8 on Peyton. Peyton taps, and Charlotte just takes her sweet time letting go of the hold.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and she kind of explains that a little bit later on. What happened after that? I was still on the phone with Xfinity. I saw most of this stuff, but I didn't get a lot of audio.
You didn't hear. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of talking on Raw tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Hurt Business. They arrive at Thunderdome. They walk up to Riddle. Riddle says something like he lives his life free and untethered, and Cedric adds unkempt, and then Riddle kind of says, he says, "I'm gonna take the high road." Starts putting over their suits while at the same time like mocking them with like insulting nicknames, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And Lashley's like, "I got this." He's like, "Hey, Riddle, I really like your flip flops, but they're bad for your feet." And Riddle says, "No, they're not." And then Lashley goes, "Yeah, they are." And then stomps. He's supposed to stomp on his foot, but I think the camera was too wide. And you see him stomp the floor a good 6 inches away from Riddle's foot.
Well, he meant to stomp Riddle's right foot, and Riddle sold his left foot when it happened. So like he gets, about like 4 inches away from one of the feet, but the actual feet that he sells is like a good foot away.
Yeah.
So, I saw.
And then Riddle says, "Well, you're going to see this foot when I kick it straight up your ass."
Okay.
But I don't think he is, because if Riddle's kicking Lashley in the backside, he won't see the foot.
I think it's going to go so far up that I don't know.
I guess maybe if Lashley was doing his old pose where he bent over.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to take the guy who's tagging with Lucha House Party very seriously. Well, I mean, that match was so much more. It was actually a really entertaining match exclusively because of Prime Alexander and him. He needs to be sent back to Young Boy Academy. Nebon right there.
So Riddle, he's backstage getting his foot looked at with Lucha House Party. They're wondering if he's good, and he's like, "Yeah, when I was in high school, I got my foot ran over by somebody's truck, and I still made it to the prom. I'll be good." And that was it.
Remember that time? Weren't they going to start taking him more seriously or something? Or having him like win matches and be like super tough?
He had a really good match with Sheamus, and that was the thing. Like they're going to have him, they'll drop his first name and have his character be more serious or something.
This could be
like the opposite is true. This
could be a killer feud, but it's not.
It's not. After that, they ran Mustafa Ali's really good promo he put up on Twitter, I believe. It's really good.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Really good. Talking about how he wishes Kofi misses WrestleMania, tying it back to Kofi taking his spot in Elimination Chamber a couple of years back. Of course, that led to Kofi winning the title. Great stuff.
Just let this guy book his own stuff, please. It's always clear. There are certain people. Kevin Owens is one of them. Now you see Daniel Bryan actually in charge of some creative aspects of SmackDown, and he's doing great. Mustafa Ali, just let him give him his segments. Let him do what he wants with it. And I guarantee you Retribution will be over within 3 weeks.
I know. After that, Xavier Woods versus Mace. Ali mentioned Xavier Woods in his promo, saying he's going to go after him. And so it's a fun match. During one of the commercial breaks, Woods decks Ali Mace takes control for a bit. Woods hits super kick, starts to come back. Drop kicks Mace in the knee, goes for an honor roll. Mace catches him. Woods fights out. Enziguri knocks Mace to the floor. He gets back on the apron. Then Woods does like a sliding drop kick through Mace's legs and kicks Ali. And then he knocks Mace back to the apron. But in the end, Mace hits his finish to get the win.
After that, if my notes are correct, we had Alexa's Playground. Is that right?
There was a brief Asuka interview in between.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
So when I was watching this Xavier Woods versus Mace match, I had to mute it for a second.
Oh wow!
To get the news brief up, and then I stepped away for a few minutes. So I recorded it, and when I came back, I was like, oh, I didn't unmute it first.
Oh, so it records muted as well?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a bummer.
It is.
So Asuka had an interview. Where
it was really short. It was really short.
She talked about being going to Alexa's Playground and then having a fight with her later. And I imagine maybe she felt that Alexa's not quite ready for Asuka. After that, we had Alexa's Playground. She starts off sort of cracking wise on Randy Orton, making a crack about him needing some sunscreen. She says, tonight my guest in the Playground is Asuka. So Asuka comes out. She tries to sit in the swing next to Alexa, and Alexa, shoos her away, says that's not for you. So clearly the theme here is that the ghost of Fiend is in that seat next to Alexa. Mm-hmm. So Asuka is like, and I don't know, in this segment, I'm not entirely sure. I think this probably would have been killed by fans because, yes, there was a level of creepiness to it that I appreciated, but I also think it was a bit on the awkward side. I don't know that they gave Asuka any proper direction here. Is she supposed to be scared? Is she supposed to be, hey, I'm not really terrified of this girl. I'm just, here to make friends or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so when she said, hey, don't sit there, Asuka was like, oh, no. I'll go stand over here. And I didn't know if that meant, hey, you're being really creepy, so I'm going to tread lightly here. Or if that was just her trying to be playful and being cool with it all. I don't know, but I feel like there needed to be a bit more clear direction here.
Yeah.
Anyways, Alexa basically declares for the Rumble. Asuka says, hey, I wish you good luck with that. Alexa says, if I win the Rumble, we could face each other at WrestleMania. Asuka says, well, yeah, I'm a big fan of yours. And she says, she starts doing the dance and saying, yowie wowie. And that pisses off Alexa. She turns to the seat next to her and says she wasn't supposed to say that. And then Asuka says, yeah, let's dance. And then she says, turn on some music. Her music plays. She starts doing her dance. Alexa gets pissed and yells at her to stop it. Then she starts telling Ghost Bray Wyatt about how sad and cold it is without him. Asuka says, it's okay. The Fiend is still here. Alexa gets super pissed and says, do not say his name. Alexa gets on and then Asuka freaks out and leaves, and the horse starts rocking. Alexa goes and gets on the rocking horse. And then that's the segment. So I don't know. It was kind of feel it was a bit of a misfire. I'm kind of glad they did this in Thunderdome because I really like both these performers, and I want this thing to succeed. Not everything's going to be great. Sometimes fans, they're not going to be very forgiving in this stuff.
Yeah, the main event segment was really good though. So
it was really good. Yeah.
After that, we had a Miz and Morrison interview. They're asked what's in store for Goldberg on the dirt sheet tonight. So they goof off. They're like, hey, no spoilers. She'll have to tune in like everybody else, but it'll be controversial because controversy creates cash, and Miz holds up the briefcase like Money in the Bank.
Yeah. After that, Shayna has an interview with Nia Jax next to her. She talks about the Royal Rumble being every woman for themselves. And she's like, I could even throw my tag team partner out. And Nia takes issue with that. Basically, as they start walking, Nia starts laying a guilt trip on Shayna. I hope they don't take these two apart because I really like their chemistry together.
Yeah, I know.
I think they're fun.
They're pretty funny. After that, Jeff Jarrett,
Ain't he great?
Makes his prediction for the WWE title match at the Rumble. He just putting confidence points down.
I could infer a lot of confidence points on this match.
I mean, he recited some lyrics from Toby Keith.
Oh,
and picks
ever
Goldberg
sent you that
to win.
tweet about the Toby Keith Waylon Jennings story?
Yeah,
Jeff sent it to me.
Yeah. I saw that you put. I think you retweeted or something, and I read that.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great.
Yeah, that's great.
After that, Mandy Rose versus Shayna Baszler. So Nia is on commentary. Shayna's in control early. Mandy makes a bit of a comeback. Drives Shayna to the corner. Starts hitting a bunch of shots. And the ref's trying to separate because she's in no longer the 5 count. Mandy backs up once, right back into hitting Shayna with some shots. Ref tries to back her out again. Shayna kicks her in the arm. They spar a bit. Shayna does this thing I don't think I've seen her do before. She kind of twists up Mandy's arm and kind of flips her over.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty neat. Yeah.
Locks on the clutch. Mandy taps. And then on the floor, Shayna and Nia are arguing. Dana Brooke hits a drop kick off the apron onto Nia, knocks Nia into Shayna.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if Shayna or maybe one of the producers of the women's division, I don't know. Yeah, because I've noted over the past couple weeks that both Mandy and before her Dana Brooke have figured out the elbow stomp. I wonder if she is slowly sort of transitioning her moveset into new stuff and motivating it via matches. Okay, people are figuring this out. Now I got to figure out different stuff. It's kind of interesting.
That's good.
All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, ExpressVPN. Are you looking for a way to keep hackers from taking a steel chair to your online data? Then check out ExpressVPN, because it'll keep all your network data safe and secure when those hackers try to go heel on you.
Steve, I don't know if you know this. There are literally hundreds. Yeah. Hundreds. Did you know this?
Yeah, hundreds.
Hundreds of VPNs out there, but we go with ExpressVPN because it is ridiculously fast. There's never any buffering or lag. It's compatible with all your devices. I'm talking phones, media consoles, smart TVs, and more. And it works with all your streaming services, so you can watch what you want on the go or on the big screen, wherever you are.
And if you visit our special link right now, expressvpn.com/GIR, you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free.
Support the show, watch what you want, and protect yourself at expressvpn.com/GIR.
After that, we had another interview with Nia Jax.
There's so much talking in the second hour.
This is a lot of talking here. And they mentioned, we've never gotten along, even as champions. It doesn't look like the tag champions are on the same page these days, because you got Charlotte dealing with Lacey. You got Asuka dealing with Alexa Bliss. And Shayna's like, you know what? Now might be the right time for us to take those titles back. And Nia just sort of hesitantly says, yeah, sure. Then we had more talking. A Charlotte interview. She says, I've been accused of living off my last name. But now Lacey is doing exactly that. I've never gone down the path of the dirtiest player in the game, my dad, but maybe I should rethink things. Lacey might wear my dad's robes, but she'll never wear my crown. This interview probably would have gone better before the Peyton Royce match, where she did start to do the dirtiest player in the game stuff, holding on to the hold too long at the end of the match.
Yeah. Anyways, you think that's the last talking segment in a row? Wrong.
There's another
Next,
one.
we get Ricochet and Adam Pearce backstage. Pearce is saying, hey, Ricochet, yeah, sure, you were in the Rumble last year. You were involved in Brock's Elimination, but this year, you got to earn your shot with the match against AJ Styles.
So it's Ricochet.
And Ricochet, rather than making all those points that I just made, is like, yeah, sure, Pearce, I appreciate the opportunity. Anyways, AJ walks up and says, hey, Ricochet, why'd you listen to Adam Pearce after you ran away from Universal title shot? I mean, he would have lost, but at least he would have kept his dignity. It goes on saying he's going to beat Ricochet tonight. Ricochet's like, oh, you don't remember TLC when I beat you? And then AJ's like, oh, that's the Miz's fault. And Ricochet just says he's gonna prove that he deserves a spot in the Rumble. So Ricochet goes to the ring. You think the talking is done for a bit. Wrong. We go back to gorilla position, and AJ just looks. I don't even know why this is necessary. AJ looks at Pearce and says, I don't like you. And when I don't like you, Amos doesn't like you either. And then he goes to the ring. Like, what was the point of that?
I don't know, man. We could have got another 30 seconds of fighting with AJ Styles and Ricochet.
Because it was really good. And one of the best Styles clashes I've ever seen.
I think they just like, I don't know, man. They try to shoehorn, they like Amos, obviously, who's doing really good work.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get another shot. I mean, one thing that I appreciate about all that backstage talking right there is that you got the three guys who are like sort of normal height. Pierce is probably the tallest of them. He's probably like 6 foot plus.
Yeah, I think it's like 6'2", maybe.
Probably, yeah. And then they keep Amos from head, in the frame, and so they're all really tiny. And then you've got this giant dude on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So they like the presence of Amos. But I agree, it's a lot of talking, and to be honest with you, like less is probably more with him. We had a great bit during this AJ Styles Ricochet match where Ricochet just starts off basically schooling AJ with all these head scissors, and then eventually he launches to the outside because he head scissored AJ out there, and Amos catches him, and the ref starts yelling at him. He was like, "Hey, you better not do anything. You need to put him down. You need to put him down." And then Amos just drops him like a sack of potatoes as we head into our commercial cliffhanger. But as we come back, Styles is in control.
Yeah. So towards the end here, AJ's setting up so AJ hits Brain Buster, Ushigoroshi, gets 2s on each of those, sets up a phenomenal forearm. Ricochet counters with the recoil, slow to make the cover so AJ can kick out. Ricochet goes up top. AJ knocks him off the top rope. So Ricochet's on the apron. He goes for a springboard. This was incredible. AJ catches him, suplexes him over the top rope, and is on the rebound.
Mm-hmm.
So Ricochet bounces off the top rope. On the rebound, he lands. AJ catches him right into a Styles Clash. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, because words can't do it service.
Yeah, it's really
how
great.
Smooth, how perfectly executed it was. It was
really great.
Incredible.
It's like a New Japan moment.
It was. It reminded me of when Kota Ibushi faced AJ Styles.
Yes.
Went for a Phoenix Splash.
That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
AJ gets up, catches him, bang, Styles Clash.
Yeah, and that's also smooth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh. So after that, we had the dirt sheet. And, they're just trying to tank the third hour ratings when you kick it off with the dirt sheet. People are going to turn the channel.
They are. They absolutely are. So, dude, I'm gonna speed around this one. They pump up Goldberg. They say, here he is. Gilbert, who admittedly looks great for his age. And, Gilbert had a place back in the day. He comes out. Then they introduce his opponent for the Royal Rumble, Drew McIntyre. Very Slavic-looking, apparently, David Krumholtz. I don't know if this is confirmed, man. I don't know if that actually was him. Maybe it was. I don't know. His butt crack was showing. Drew called it. He said he's got the body shape of a melted candle. And they go back and forth a little bit. NWO or real Krumholtz, whoever it was.
PW Insider is saying it was.
All right, there you go. David Krumholtz, probably a big wrestling fan. Okay with, poking fun at himself. Tries to do a Scottish accent. And like you mentioned, he's very comfortable. This person was very comfortable.
Yeah, super comfortable in front of a camera. Yeah.
And it was, to be honest, it was mildly funny. Honestly, if this didn't happen on the dirt sheet, I probably would have laughed.
The best part was when he comes out for his entrance. He's got the short little sword, and he turns around real fast, and his wig falls off.
Yeah.
But rather than freak out, he just kind of realizes it, goes back, catches it, and puts it back on.
It was a good little moment of comedy. And even the bits on the inside when, he comes out and he drops the Scottish accent on Gilbert, and Morrison steps in and was like, hold on a second. If you're going to do a Scottish accent, then he does it. And then Krumholtz says, okay, wait a second. So you want to go back and do it again? Usually, when they get, I don't know, an intern or a PA or a writer to do this bit,
it's not
they don't really talk a whole lot, and the acting's bad, and they miss cues. So this probably was Krumholtz.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, so should we go back and do it again? So anyways, this goes on for a little bit. And then in the end, Miz basically says he's going to cash in at the Royal Rumble.
And beat both Goldberg and Drew.
He said they're both going to lose. Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
After that, we had the Hurt Business versus Riddle and Lucha House Party. This entire match, and I actually really loved it because I like the Cedric Prime Alexander stuff. I'm itchy to know where it's going to go. But it's all about him, refusing. He starts out the match, refuses to tag Shelton in, even though his elders are all telling him, hey, you need to be doing this. Mm-hmm. So when he comes to tag out on his terms, Bobby and Shelton both refuse. They tell him, no, you need to keep on going. Shelton tags himself in, much to Cedric Prime Alexander's. He's kind of annoyed by that. And this happens over and over again.
Oh, like 10 times.
It's kind of endless, yeah, and it definitely distracts them. But in the end, Shelton's clearing the way for a finisher on, I think, Grand Metalik. Cedric tags himself in, gets one move off, comes over to yell at Shelton. Bobby ends up saying enough of this, tags himself in, spear, hurt lock, and it was either Lindsay or Grand Metalik taps out.
It was Metalik
taps out. So after the match, they all argue amongst themselves. Riddle takes that opportunity to attack Bobby with a quick drive-by and then runs off as the Hurt Business continue to bicker. There was a good line here from MVP, though, on the outside. He was just yelling at Cedric the whole time. At one point, he says, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yep.
I love that line. This is a great line.
After that, Elias and Jackson Ryker backstage. And Elias says, I don't want another misunderstanding like we had last week. I know I said don't get involved, but I didn't mean don't get involved. I said don't get involved. He put emphasis on it. And Riker's like, okay, I'm sorry. I took you seriously. I took you literally. My apologies. And Elias says, you didn't walk with Elias last week. You got Jeff Hardy again. And then Ryker says, yeah, I'm going to finish what I started and beat Jeff Hardy until he accepts the universal truth of Elias. And I believe he said during this that he wanted to do it by himself. Yeah,
and then he stops and says, wait a second. So you're not going to interfere? And he was like, okay, just go.
Yeah.
There's a path here that I don't see them going, but I think would be pretty funny. I'll be honest. These two guys, look, I'm not a fan of Jackson Ryker at all. You know this.
Yes, and I'm in complete agreement with you.
His chemistry with Elias in this scene was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of funny. Look, if you're gonna pop when Vince McMahon comes out, who's done far worse things than. Anyways. So before we got to that match, we had Drew McIntyre's Matt Chat question, where he talks for a little while. He says sometimes lions eat clowns, talking about how WWE is like a circus. You got the serious stuff, lions, and you got the comedy stuff, the clowns. And sometimes they mix, and sometimes the lions eat the clowns. The Miz and Morrison are the clowns. He's the lion. He's going to eat the clowns.
Yes.
He says, I respect Goldberg. I'm intense. I saw it in Goldberg's eyes when he shoved me. Bring that Goldberg to the Rumble. And he says, and if you're interested, next week, I'm coming back to Raw. After that, we had Jackson Ryker versus Elias. I'm sorry, versus Jeff Hardy. There's my notes.
Give it a couple months. It'll happen.
Yeah. So, match happens. Hardy hits a twist of fate. The ref catches Elias interfering, which is him shoving Jeff Hardy off the top. And so it's a DQ. Ryker says, hey, Elias, I said not to help me. And Elias says, dude, I'm sorry. He was about to hit a swanton. Nobody kicks out of that.
And then Ryker goes, well, maybe I could have.
Which is a great line. He's about to hit a swanton. Nobody kicks out of that.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
So during that, Hardy slides at Elias. He does like a baseball slide or something at Elias, and then Ryker attacks him, just completely lays him out.
Yeah, and boss man slam.
It's a little bit like, damn it, I'm trying to think of, there's like a movie or a TV show or some situation where somebody befriends like a psychopath, but like, you have to tread lightly. And I wonder if Elias, it's like, yeah, he's got this guy who's a follower, but if he doesn't be careful, that follower is going to end up, biting him in the ass. Mm. And I think they could take this down that route. I don't know. I think
that's probably the plan, but who knows if it gets there.
Yeah, I don't know. But in the meantime, they have decent chemistry. And Elias has always been, whenever they've given him good dialogue, he has the comedic timing. Yeah. Like I've always said that guitar gimmick just holds him down. And but I mean, this is a story they can tell with him having, a crazed psychopathic fan, who's going to turn on him.
Yeah. And after that, we had the main event, Asuka versus Alexa Bliss. So early on, Asuka comes to the ring with like a pink shirt under her overall skirts, kind of a combo, and she's got some double ponytail going on. That's going to change during the match, though.
Yeah.
So Asuka's, she'll hit some offense, go for a cover, and Bliss gets up. She's kind of like laughing it off, smiling it off. Eventually, she escapes an arm bar, rolls out of the ring. Asuka follows. Alexa gets back in. The lights start to come down, but the music little cues are different than they are for the Fiend, and the graphics are a little different. So we go to commercial. We come back, and it's just a shot of Bliss in the middle of the ring. She's got black lipstick on. Rather than the double ponytails, her hair is in two buns, and then she's got a black shirt on underneath her overall, rather than the pink one. And she's just kind of staring at the camera, and Asuka's like, I don't know what to make of this. This is weird. And she's kind of circling her, and Alexa's not doing anything. She's just following Asuka as she kind of circles, but she's not making any motions. She's expressionless. Asuka tries for some strikes. Tries for a back fist. Alexa dodges. A kick. Alexa ducks that. Goes for some punches. Alexa blocks them all. Eventually, though, Asuka does hit a kick and then charges Bliss. And Bliss shoulder tackles her. It looked like Asuka. The way Asuka sold it, it was like Asuka ran to Keith Lee.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So this knocks Asuka out of the ring. Asuka comes back in. She hits a pop-up knee. Sends Bliss to the corner, and Bliss does the pose that Bray does where he bends over backwards in the corner.
Yeah.
So Asuka's about to charge. She puts on the brake, and Alexa walks to her and pulls her hand up and starts making the mandible claw grip.
Yeah.
Tries for it. Asuka escapes that. Looks for a German suplex. Bliss escapes that. Hits her with a huge right hand.
That looked great. That because she gave her like
great.
a back elbow, and then that punch
huge
was
right
awesome.
hand.
Yeah.
Gets a 2, so Asuka's shaking out the cobweb. She's on the mat, like shaking her head, and Bliss kind of like kneels next to her and lifts her head up.
Yeah.
Asuka gets up, hits a bunch of strikes. Alexa no sells it, hits Sister Abigail to get the win, and then after the match, Alexa stares at hard cam. We get a little Fiend transition, and then she's back to what she was wearing at the beginning of the match.
The transition was really well done too, because you think they're just going to do the trademark bug, but they did a really good transition to make it look like, whoa, she just like changed, in the moment, teleport changed. And then she opens up her mouth and says, "Let me in," but it's in Bray's voice. So there you go. Let's answer some questions. I have a thread right here on the Patreon at patreon.com/Stephen Larson. $1 gets you access to our Patreon question threads for the recap shows. Or if you watch live, you can have your question answered using channel points highlighted. Let's go ahead.
This is great. So Adrian C. with the sub, thank you very much. He says, in 10 months, I've witnessed Larson go from young boy,
yeah, sure,
probably was about 10 months ago,
yeah,
to Ultimo Larson. It's been
dude.
worth the journey. Thank you very much, Adrian.
It's a whole story, man. I'm very proud of you, by the way. You're doing great these
Thank
days.
you.
You're doing really good.
Appreciate that.
Alex Foster. We've talked about this a little bit. He says thoughts on WWE's new 8K cameras.
They're amazing.
Still wrapping my head around them. I'm not really huge on them. It sort of takes me out of the thing. They do it, and then I'm like,
they need to shoot the whole show with those, and then you won't take you out anything. You'll be fully immersed.
I'm kind of curious as to if they're able to get the racking of the focus down. Okay,
that'd be the tough part.
They'd be able to do that. Yeah.
Evolution. Which wrestler is Cheerios, and what other wrestlers would be what cereal? So before we started here in our pre-show here on Twitch, we had some cereal talk about Cheerios and what is the best kind of version of Cheerios.
Wait, so what's the question? What wrestlers are cereals?
Well, Cheerios, first of all.
Who's Cheerios? Well,
something that's good, but at the same time kind of bland.
I feel like I know this is true of Grape Nuts. Grape Nuts was more a functional functional cereal back in like the 40s, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe during the Depression. I forget which. I kind of feel like Cheerios probably might have popped up in the 50s in the same manner, like cheap to produce.
Maybe. Well, at least probably, initially, yeah.
Yeah, right. But now they got all sorts of variations.
Change of recipes and stuff. I'm sure whatever initial health benefits were involved with Cheerios are probably long gone.
Really dissipated. Who's Cheerios? I don't know. Who's like... Okay, how about this? Cheerios is Husky Harris. Honey Nut Cheerios is Bray Wyatt. I'm trying to think of because there's regular Cheerios, but there's all sorts of variations of Cheerios that are pretty good. So I'm trying to think of
here's the thing: there's all sorts of variations under the Cheerios umbrella. But if the idea of Cheerios, which is oats ground up and baked in little O's, there's basically every cereal brand has their own iteration of Cheerios, and I honestly prefer basically all the other iterations over original Cheerios.
Yeah, but that's not answering the question, man. What wrestler?
Oh, I know. I'm saying there's two facets to this potentially.
You're just putting yourself over on the Cheerios here.
I'm a Cheerios connoisseur, man.
Yeah, I guess you are. I'm gonna debate that with you. Well, then, Mr. Cheerios, Professor Cheerios, what's a damn wrestler who's Cheerios?
I told you someone who's good, but maybe a little bland.
That's not a name. Who's the Cheerios? Who's good but a little bland? Like Brian Kendrick? He's good. I don't know if I call him bland though. He's eccentric.
No, I wouldn't call him bland.
He's eccentric. Who's bland?
I wouldn't call him bland. I gotta find the name that pops out at me. Here, we look at the roster real quick.
Right,
move on to
I'm
the next question.
I'm gonna move on.
Move on to the next question. I'll have an answer for you in a moment.
What about Apollo Crews when they don't do anything with him creatively?
Well, that could be just about anybody when they don't do anything with them creatively.
Not really. Let's see here.
Oh, I think I have the answer.
Oh, okay.
Humberto Carrillo.
Oh, wow.
He's good.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
But he's a little bland from a character perspective.
Humberto Cheerio. There you go. Okay, that's good. See, that's all I wanted. Professor Cheerio strikes again. James Fletcher. If you had a time machine to go back in time, what wrestling decision would you change? And in the normal world, what would you change?
Oh, well, you start messing with things that have happened.
I don't want to delete myself from the universe, man. What
yeah.
kind of future am I gonna leave for myself? You know what I do? What's something you can go back? Okay, so what about this? What if you go back in time, you buy, I don't know, Detective Comics number 20, whatever the first appearance of Batman was, or the first appearance of Superman, right? Action Comics number 1. Go back in time, you buy that, you put it in a box, like a lockbox, right? You bury that someplace you know it's going to be there still. Or you go and see, the problem with saving deposit box, you're going to have to pay for that. You're not going to be around. I'm saying just go back in time for a day, you get something that's worth a bunch of money, and then it's still there for you when you come back, and then you can cash it in and get a bunch of money. I mean, yeah, it's cynical, but you don't want to change history. That's scary.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has happened in history that, would be well worth considering changing.
Yeah, right?
A lot.
Yeah. But would it fix... okay, look, I think if 9/11 didn't happen, maybe my life would be... I don't know, maybe my life wouldn't be the same. I don't know. Probably not, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's affected me somehow that I'm not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm over here in California. It happened in New York, but I'm sure that there's stuff that's happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's laws that have been passed.
Yeah, it changed the nature of our society.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of awful stuff that has happened in history. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know.
These questions are too much for my head right now, man.
I know. It's 9:30. I got 4.5 hours of sleep last night. I don't know if I can handle these type of questions right now. I'm just thinking of Cheerios, honestly.
Wrestling decision I would change would be, if you take heavy stuff out, I'd save Owen Hart because that's what I do. Wrestling decision, I would.
So we're talking booking decisions, yes.
I'd tell Brett they're gonna screw you. I don't see how that plays out. Because he would still go out there. He would just make damn well sure that he wasn't going to get screwed. That's what happened.
Probably.
That'd be fun to see. The real world, yeah. I'd buy Batman Action Comics number 1, take it with me to the...
Something to enrich yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'd give 10% of the cut to charity.
But even that's, that's one issue of that comic that is out of circulation at that point. That might change something, though. What is it? The butterfly effect,
yeah.
where that one story, was it some old science fiction story?
Ashton
Sound of
Kutcher,
Thunder.
Yeah, sure.
Sound of Thunder, where they go back to the time of dinosaurs. Someone steps on a butterfly or something, it changes everything.
Yeah, they made a really low budget movie of that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, you know what? I'd try it. I'd give it a shot. Come back and everything's nuclear wasted.
Well, if you're gonna give something a shot, like actually alter something that would you would think benefit the world instead of just you.
Look at this question. Moses supposes. Yeah, I know, but then you're messing with history. It's like, screw it. I don't want to do that. Might as well enrich myself. I'll give you a cut. How about that?
I don't want a cut.
You don't want a cut on my money, my Batman money, my Superman money?
I don't want your Batman money, your cynical Batman money. I don't want that.
I'm going to bring back a copy of Action Comics #1 for me and a copy of Detective #27 for you.
Don't want it.
I was going to say the thing that I usually say because I know I could go around you.
I'd send you back in time and be like, fool, what are you doing? You're essentially doing a Gray Sports Almanac thing here.
Yes!
The opportunity to potentially really benefit the world. Go and do that instead.
Are you
if you're going to roll
me?
the dice on something, go and try to do something to actually improve the world.
Are you telling me that if you asked your wife, said, hey, listen, Steve brought back an artifact from the past. It didn't change history.
Here's the thing, if you said artifact, be like, oh, from ancient Rome or something. No, he got a comic book from 60 years ago.
So exactly. So it's nothing, but it's worth like millions of dollars. Are you saying you wouldn't cash it in? You wouldn't take it to Sotheby's?
If you're going to run the risk of altering time, like altering history, then like try to do something that's actually going to has a chance to actually benefiting.
It's such a small risk. Most of those comics has ended up in the garbage or in the landfill.
I don't know, man.
I think the odds are pretty good that would have ended up in the landfill. I think they destroyed a lot of those if they didn't get sold. That's why I think they still do that. Moses supposes. Oh my God, another one of these questions. In 10 years, who's going to be the Raw commentary team? Kevin Owens, Michael Cole,
and The Miz.
Yeah, The Miz. Yeah.
Evil Penguin Gaming, every time either of you say Alexa Bliss, my Amazon Echo all the way on the other side of the room goes off, lol. We'll try to stop saying Alexa Bliss then.
Let's Take On Me. Let's see here. Blake Whitehouse. Is the Orton Bray Alexa stuff good because it's good? Or is it good because it's weird? It feels like a burger at Red Robin that shouldn't be good, but it is. What a weird analogy from Blake Whitehouse.
That's pretty good.
I think it's good because it's something we haven't seen before, and it's good stuff.
That's the thing. I think it's good because it's something fresh. Mm-hmm. Everybody's performance has been really good.
Everybody bought into it.
Yeah. EV 14304 with the sub says 5 months, 50 sub. Thanks, friendos. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Let's see here. Oh, wow. This is a good question here. Again, it's a lot of math. Sorry I'm Baked asks, can you guys do going in raw math on WrestleMania entrances? In my experience, if someone gets the epic entrance, they are doing the job, Taker excluded. You know what? We'll have to do, that's different math though. That's
research math.
So maybe we'll look into that. I want to do a going in raw math like zine or something that we can sell. And I don't know what like the law says. I mean, I don't know, like nobody'd catch us, but I don't know the law in terms of like analyzing a sport or entertainment. Like you're allowed to do that and profit off it, right?
That'd be fair use, I would think. Yeah,
it's fair use.
You're being analytical and critical. Yeah.
If I did my own little drawings of like Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, wouldn't that be okay?
I think so.
I think that'd be okay.
Just kind of make it look like 85% them.
Well,
plausible deniability.
We all know, thanks to my slow wolf drawing, that everything I draw just looks slow. So it'd be like slow Hogan, slow Hart, slow Bret, slow Shawn Michaels, slow Steve Austin, slow cold Steve Austin.
Ryan Hoover says, I subbed today.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Rich says Randy's nose looks like an overcooked hot dog left on the rollers at Circle K. It did. That's dead on, Rich.
Oh wow. Hip Hop Hippo says that Styles Clash was crazy. That was up there.
That was rad. Sky M says, was listening to your guys' news beef today, and I was wondering who is Dookie in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's Doku, right? That's his name? Doki. We call him Dookie. Let's see here.
Spider-Man 2007 with the subs says 6 months times fly when you're kicking it with your friendos. Thank you and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Time
Spider-Man.
definitely does fly. That's totally true. All right, come on, people. Ask some actual questions here on the Patreon. Let's see here. Go ahead.
EV says February 5th, 1988, the main event. What era or time do you wish you guys watched intently? So what's an era of wrestling that you might have watched casually or missed it all, and wish you had
Dude, I wish
paying closer attention.
Yeah, I wish I was watching WWF in 1994 and 1995, so that when 1996 and 1997 came around, it was like, whoa, this was worth waiting for. I wish I was watching when, like, you know, the new generation was happening, so that I could see the birth of the Attitude Era live when it happened, as opposed to jumping in, you know, when it sort of started its second act, really.
Yeah. I wish I kind of still watched from like 2004 to 2010. Yeah. So that whole period I'd stopped watching post Attitude Era pretty much. Because I missed pretty much all of Edge's rise to a main eventer. Early John Cena, JBL, Batista's first run. I pretty much missed all that.
You didn't see the one night stands when they happened? Boy, I forget. I don't know who I guess maybe I watched them with my friends out there in Lancaster. But goddamn, that was some stuff. That first one night stand especially was something else.
I'm trying to think if I remember what was the last pay-per-view I watched before I watched WrestleMania 27 at your house.
Dog Authority figure. What other movies do you think are in AJ Styles' top 10? Because he mentioned the 51st Dates thing tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And what are some of the best rom-coms? My favorite rom-com of all time is probably The Wedding Singer, which is, you know, another Drew Barrymore, Adam Sandler movie. I think that's like probably my favorite one.
Would you consider Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind a romantic comedy? It's more than that.
Yeah, not in the traditional sense. Romantic comedy to me is like bottom of the barrel. It's like, you know, it's like lowest common denominator stuff.
What about Gross Point Blank or High Fidelity?
Yeah, I guess you can. Sure. Yeah, those are both. High Fidelity is aged really well.
I haven't seen Gross Point Blank in a long time, but I know High Fidelity, I feel like, probably aged pretty well.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I feel like Gross Point Blank is probably still pretty good, but me and Lacey watched High Fidelity within the last year. It's still a damn good movie. It's actually a lot better now that I'm like old and stuff.
Jorge D with Matthew McConaughey saying he's interested in working with WWE on Maria Menounos' podcast. What would you have him do?
Who's this?
McConaughey.
All right. Hey, Jackson Ryker, let's team up.
Oh, gosh.
All right, let's talk about liberalism, y'all. Matthew, it's kind of heavy for a wrestling show. Nah, it's all good. Oh, Jackson Ryker.
White Brownie said, does Asuka defend her title at Rumble or nah? Yeah, she should.
You'd think. But I don't know, man. If they're going to do like a 3-hour Rumble, they're going to have like, what, an hour to do other matches besides the Rumbles?
I don't know. I mean, if you have a 3-hour show, it's 2 Rumbles, and you have enough time for like 2 other matches.
Yeah. Unless, I mean, Kevin Owens versus, well, we know Drew versus Goldberg is going to be quick.
Yeah, that's true.
What's his face? Roman versus Kevin Owens is going to be long because last man standing.
Last man standing. Yeah.
Oh, this is a great question. This is a really good question from Eddie Brock's Venom. I didn't even think about this. He says, I rewatched SmackDown yesterday and something came to me. Could Billy be trying to destroy Riot Squad from the inside out for breaking her and Peyton up as a tag team?
Wow. Hadn't thought about that.
What a great idea. He says she did make Liv snap at Ruby.
Huh.
Good job.
That's
Eddie.
actually,
Eddie
that would be
Brock's
something
Venom.
else.
I know, right? Look at that.
That'd be something else. Bangers says, seeing as you both dislike the Miz's talk shows for a future, this is rough. For a future pay-per-view punishment, the loser should be forced to watch every Miz TV ever.
Oh, wow. That's dark.
That's like a Mania level punishment there.
That's so dark. Hey, we might have found our Mania. We might have found our Mania. Yeesh. That's
Ouch.
rough. That's really rough. Get the intern to put together.
Yeah, have like a playlist or something.
We'd have to do it on like my. I don't know how we do that though.
To figure something out. Shane's birthday tweet is Ali Retribution versus New Day, the feud that can turn around people's opinion on Retribution. If they start winning matches, yes. If they start having Ali do promos like he did probably by himself in the dugout of Tropicana Field and run them on Raw, then yes.
Yeah, there is no singular feud that can help them. It is the creative behind those feuds that could help them. Oh, this is a great question, Octavia. Which mid-90s to early 2000s wrestlers would you see having a good run with Money in the Bank if they had introduced it much earlier? I could see like Owen Hart doing something fun with his rivalry with Bret Hart with that Money in the Bank. For some reason, that just immediately sticks out to me.
So what's the time frame?
What do you say? Mid-90s. Yeah, mid-90s to early 2000s. So, I mean, if you date it back to the early 90s, you can 93, 94.
From the Attitude Era, like The Rock seems like a perfect heel. Rock's like perfect Money in the Bank guy. Perfect.
Absolutely. You could see him carrying that for like 8 months. And then
same with Shawn
in,
Michaels.
Yeah.
Heel Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I could see that.
Imagine him spending a good portion of a year while Diesel was champion with that Money in the Bank briefcase.
Hogan with Money in the Bank. Art Fracture here says Hogan with Money in the Bank, like at the peak of Hulkamania, would think he would think it's a face thing to do to opportunistically cash in on somebody who's just had a 30-minute long match.
What would probably happen is he'd be champion and win Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So if he lost it, then he can just cash in. Mm-hmm. Zoe Conrana says Cheerios or Oats, and so Otis, obviously. Otis.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Cheeriotis.
Jorge D says Corbin would be the Cheerios of wrestlers.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah,
that is good.
Yeah. We're going to answer some more questions here on the Twitch, but that's going to do it for us today for the podcast. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll join us tomorrow. Watch Impact with us on our Twitch screen. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.